how do you say this? Kamagasaki, the Japanese slum.
Japan is a wealthy country and was once the world's second largest economy after the United States.
Wow.
Though it has now lost this position,
Why cannot? Why can women? Hold on.
after the United
Why do women in the United States not dress up like this? I need answers. I don't need sleep. I need answers.
States. Though it has now lost this position to China, Japan always maintains a discipline and cleanliness. Therefore, one might not expect Japan to have slums or homeless people.
For real.
In fact, like the rest of the world, Japan has slums and homeless people. But Japanese slums look somewhat different.
I had a friend. I live in Arizona. I have a friend who says Arizona's like The Walking Dead, but instead of zombies, it's homeless people. So I understand this homeless plight.
This is a side of Osaka that is hidden by the modern and beautiful city. This is Kamagasaki. An elderly man in old clothes walks along an empty street. The cold doesn't seem to bother the elderly and middle-aged men gathered to chat while sipping beer or sake.
I wonder how cold it gets in Japan, because they're on an island, right? I do remember playing Persona 5, and I guess during the summertime it really sucks because obviously you're surrounded by water and just the humidity just goes crazy. But I don't know.
西成区の萩の茶屋西成区言うたらまあ悪くは見られてるやろうけど世間からはね日本ではだけど人情ある人多いよいや本当にだからまあ極端な話猫、まあキャット、ドッグ、スズメって何やろな、よかったら分からんけど、あと鳩とかカラス、そういうのにみんな餌あげたりするから、なんか知らんけど、人間は痩せ太っとんのに動物の方が太っとんねん。
People refer to Kamagasaki as a slum and a place for the homeless. The number of homeless people in Japan is low, compared to other developed countries like the US, the UK or European countries. The number of homeless people in big cities such as Tokyo and Osaka has steadily been decreasing. The city and government help them to find jobs and temporary housing. There is a non-profit organization in Osaka which has started a bicycle rental program. They give homeless people jobs to maintain and repair bikes.
That's a good thing.
There are still homeless people living in parks, train stations, and here. The houses and shops in Kamagasaki look old but tidy. The streets here are mostly clean, although there is rubbish in some areas.
That's crazy. Like, even the homeless little camp areas, I shouldn't call this a camp, but like even the homeless areas where people congregate, the places are a lot cleaner than they are in the States. I actually just saw a Reddit video in Arizona. They're cleaning out like a big homeless camp area, and it just looks disgusting. You know, needles, feces everywhere. Like, it's a mess, and it's quite interesting. Maybe they're not showing us the entire picture because obviously I wouldn't know. They're only showing me what they want to show me. So maybe there are some just filthy areas in Japan like we have in the States when it comes to homeless camps, but it's just surprising just how clean things are over there.
This place doesn't really fit the common understanding of what a slum is.
For real.
There are, however, many people who do not have a permanent place to live. Watanabe rents a room in which to sleep at night with government subsidies. During the day, he sits there with a can of beer.
僕はまあ まあマンションいうだって広くないよ6畳やそこらのまあユニットバスとキッチンとベランダとあって
Those who don't have enough money to pay rent have to sleep on the streets. Some people build their shelters from materials that are not very strong. It can only be used for protection from the sun and for their personal belongings. This bike is fully loaded. The owner may not have a permanent place to sleep. He may have to wander to find a place to lay his head down. Some take a nap on the roadside. Many people can hardly walk without the aid of a cane.
That makes my back hurt just seeing
An
that.
old man is unpacking a bag. This is an old photo of two women in Japanese national costumes. We guess this might be a picture of his wife and daughter. This could be the most valuable treasure he has left. It's the only thing that shows he had a family.
That's sad, man. I do hope he gets to see some of his family, at least. One thing that I read about that I think about often is that the vast majority of people, even though I've got a warm place to live, I've got a nice apartment, I've got a beautiful dog, I've got a beautiful roommates, is that the vast majority of people, myself included, are a lot closer to living my life like this that you see in the video than having, like, living a lavish lifestyle. Know what I'm saying? Is all it takes is just a couple unfortunate events and we could end up just like this guy. And I think about that often, and I am quite grateful for the job that I have and being able to do this, you know? Like, it's humbling seeing stuff like this. And that's something I feel like I should think about a little more often.
One of Osaka's most popular attractions and icons is the Tsutenkaku Tower. It was built in 1912. Tsutenkaku means the way to heaven. The structure of the tower is made of the same type of steel as the Eiffel Tower. At that time, the tower was the tallest building in East Asia. It was part of the transformation of Osaka to be as prosperous as Tokyo. It was the end of the Meiji era, when Japan emerged as a new power in Asia. Japan was at its peak. The area was named Shinsekai, which means New World. The boom in the construction business attracted many workers. They did daily or short-term construction work. They live in Kamagasaki, less than 10 minutes from Shinsekai. When the construction was complete, these workers continued to live here. Those workers used Kamagasaki as a permanent residence, and it continued to expand. They still have jobs because the economy is booming. During the 1980s, the Japanese economy grew steadily, thanks in large part to the production and export of automobiles and electronics. Japan's economy developed rapidly. Banks in Japan provided loans for businesses and relaxed lending conditions. Asset prices, including land and house prices, and the stock market, rose so much that it caused rampant inflation.
So they're dealing with what the United States is dealing with right now, except it's a little bit different, obviously. But the inflation, one thing that I love hearing about is how the costs are going up, but pay for having jobs is not. That shit is insane to me. But
in 1991, Japan's economy experienced a severe recession, which lasted a decade. Older workers in Kamagasaki lost their jobs and had become homeless. They had nowhere to go. These people built many beautiful buildings in Shinsekai. Still, few people know Kamagasaki. Even some Japanese people don't know this name.
釜ヶ崎は名前だけなら聞いたことあるんですけど詳しくは知らないです。はい。ここから聞きました。
She's goth and Japanese. I think I'm in love, boys.
釜ヶ崎はテレビとかどうだろう。
So Kamagasaki is like the North Dakota of Japan, from what she's telling me.
ど どこから聞いたとかじゃなくて、なんか風の噂みたいな感じです。
釜ヶ崎は何かわかります？
わからないです。
ありがとうございます。釜ヶ崎。
あじゃないですか。尼崎はわかんないですね。わかんないです。
釜ヶ崎というところ聞いたことありますか？
尼崎ね。
釜ヶ
Damn.
尼崎
釜ヶ崎。ここの辺。
尼崎ちゃん。
それってどこ？
尼崎兵庫。
いやいや。
That's crazy. They still think it's Kamagasaki, but they're talking. That's crazy, man. Nobody know. Well, obviously people know, but from the people they show in this video, nobody knows, man. That's crazy.
釜がちょっとホームレスが。
西成。西成。西成。
あ、西成、はい。
西成ね。西成を。
はい。わかります。
わかる。西成わかる。
どんな感じのか説明。
まあでも今は多分昔よりはだいぶイメージが良くなってるよ。
西成はね、もう貧乏のね、貧困なイメージはあるけど貧困なイメージはあるけど、でもまあそこら辺をね、逆に言えば僕らで盛り上げていきたいなっていう、お金を落としてね。
まあ僕らは酔っ払いにとっては楽しい。
It's no surprise that Japanese people don't know about Kamagasaki.
I feel like a lot of people in Japan like to drink, or at least in the other Japanese video that we've seen, the other guy liked to drink a lot too. So maybe drinking is a way of escaping for them.
In 1996, the city of Osaka changed its name to Airinshiku. They wanted to get rid of its bad reputation. After that, the name of Kamagasaki no longer appeared on the map. People here, though, still call it by its old name. They continued their lives as they were before. A Japanese film director once made a movie about this place. Unfortunately, the film was banned. Recently, Kamagasaki has become popular among backpackers looking for cheap accommodation and
Wonder why that film got banned.
Food and drink prices here are much lower than in other parts of the city because it is the residence of marginalized people.
Just like that guy said, he's like, I like to get wasted, so we'll just go over here to Kamagasaki because the drinks are cheap. So I guess he wasn't lying when he said, "Oh yeah, I've heard of it. That's where I get freaking wasted because things are cheap there." That's not what he said. I shouldn't say that. He said that he wanted the area to prosper, so he wouldn't spend his money there. But it also helps that things are cheaper there.
Workers in Kamagasaki stay in these hotels when they
Those hotels are pretty nice, bro.
have enough money or when it's just too cold outside. The room is small and rectangular.
Oh, yikes.
There's a table, pillows, and mattress laid out on the floor. Guests must use the shared bathroom outside.
Oh, no.
These rooms are clean, tidy, and safe, but they're not home.
And say that again. Golly, that's tiny. That's basically a prison cell, man.
If you want to see more great content from all over the world, please like the video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon. Thank you.
There are immigrants moving in and out of Kamagasaki all the time, so the true number of residents is unknown. An old man treats his dog like a member of the family. It might be what helped him get through his lonely time in Kamagasaki. People here, if not working, stay on the roadside. Some stay in the park, waiting for food to be handed out, buying food from the store and drinking.
Back when I worked for UPS as a package handler helper, so I only used to do it when I was going to ASU, and it was the holidays. There was this homeless guy that would always ask for money to feed his dog, but like wouldn't take any food if his dog wouldn't eat it. Know what I'm saying? So it's I think it's pretty cool that no matter what situation there is, the vast majority of homeless people will take care of their dog better than they take care of themselves.
People in retirement receive about 100,000 yen, or around $750 per month from the government. In fact, this amount is enough to pay for modest accommodation. Most people tend to spend a lot of money on alcohol, though.
だから普通にする人は食べてる人もおるけど、結局もらってる金額と考えたら足りひんようになるから。
まあね、足りないですね。
足りるようにするには自分がどっかで何かを切る言うたら分かるかな。
まあ切るですよ。
節約。節約。
I bet if he stopped drinking, like he says all he does during the daytime is drink beer. I bet if he stopped drinking, he'd have even more money.
Besides the homeless, Kamagasaki hosts two other types of people: the unemployed and day laborers, most of whom are middle-aged or older men. This is why Kamagasaki has a job center which offers free meals and accommodation coupons. At the employment office building in Kamagasaki, companies and factories post daily employment notices. Those who need jobs have to queue up early in the morning. Then the company will recruit them. People who are recruited tend to be young and strong. Most of the work available is physical in nature, such as construction work. Watanabe is not old. He's a middle-aged man who's lost his job because of an accident at work.
とりあえず仕事があればね、やろうけど、僕らはもうこの体やからどこもやっててくれへん。日本は意外とこういう身体的なものを持ってる人雇うとか言うてる割にはパーセンテージが低い。
Crime often occurs where there are many unemployed and homeless people. Kamagasaki is no exception. Here there are thefts, quarrels and drugs. So there are police cars patrolling all the time. It's an area to which many people don't want to come, especially Japanese people.
もし夜夜間にここ
やめとった方がええ。絶対あかんねん。夜はここはもう明るいうちに。
I guess I just never imagined Japan having violent places, which is very ignorant of me, obviously. But I guess that just never came across my mind.
撤収せんと無理。夜遅かったらもう何が歩いとるか分からへん。だもう俺もちょっと薄暗くなってきたらもう帰るもん。それから部屋から出へん。俺は。
The corner of this street is the usual hangout for a small group of older men. No one came this morning because they're probably still hungover. Later in the day, they wake up to eat. Then they gather again, drinking and chatting. When they get drunk, they find a place to sleep. Every day, it's the same routine. Some might think that living and drinking like this is aimless. On the other hand, these people have worked hard all their lives, but didn't get rich. They're old and have few, if any, responsibilities now. Maybe drinking is the only joy left in life. In the afternoon, the atmosphere at the corner of the street livens up. The drinkers gradually gather. They have sincere smiles. They talk to each other in a friendly way.
リオさんな。
はじめまして。
はい。サンキュー。
はじめまして。カルナさん。
These people are very old, so no one hires them to work.
Or
They can
guys.
chat all day because they don't have a job. They can drink as they please. The man next to him was even more intoxicated. While we were chatting, he fell off his chair.
Oh, jeez. Dude can barely walk as it is. You saw how slow he was moving in the previous clip.
ニューヨーク大都市があればシカゴの裏町みたいなあるでしょ。それと一緒やん。日本やから言うて全部は金持ちじゃないからそういう裏町みたいなのがこの町やからどの国でもあると思うけどね。 こういうとこもあればお金持ちばっかり住んでるとこもあるやろうし。
Which makes sense. I don't know why I didn't think about it like that. Like, yeah, New York is this beautiful, beautiful place, but there are also a ton of homeless people, and it's got its own set of problems, you know? Just like he says, there's every beautiful place has its own little dark side, you know?
どの国でもあるんちゃうかな。日本に限らず、アメリカにも限らずね。
These guys drink and chat here every day. This is a free and unrestrained life, as long as they have enough money to buy alcohol to drink with their friends. By evening, Watanabe told us to leave Kamagasaki. The reason is that it's too cold here, and we might see things which could make us uncomfortable. In Kamagasaki, no one blames God or fate, whether they are poor, jobless, or homeless. The thing they all have in common is pride. They are proud to have been part of the nation's prosperity. They don't just wait for help. The subsidy money provided by the state is what they deserve as vital contributors to the building of a nation. Kamagasaki has been renamed, avoided, and not recognized. Still, the truth is that it exists. Japan's economy today is not as thriving as it was in the past. The people of Kamagasaki know that they may not have the chance to experience it again.
This man's fallen over. He fell over twice. Man is sloshed.
YouTube has become...
Didn't mean to start that next video. We need to turn... Okay, interesting. Let's go back. If I ever visit Japan, I definitely want to visit... was it Kamagasaki? That's definitely... Even though it's got its faults, it's definitely a place of beauty. You know what I'm saying? We're going to save that. I'm sorry, I think I already had that saved to watch later. Make sure I like that. Yep. Let's read some comments. As someone who's lived in the Kansai area, I can tell you that the reason most young Japanese people who were interviewed did not know about Kamagasaki is because it is an older name that no longer is popular in use. Kamagasaki was originally named Aaron District in 1966. Only the older generation would call it by its old name. I see. My friend and I booked our very first Airbnb back in 2014 in Nishinari without knowing its reputation. I did notice the number of homeless old people and that there were a lot of sirens. Every single night you would hear an ambulance or a fire truck. We actually witnessed one fire truck responding to an old guy slumped in the street. But I did not ever feel unsafe. Cheerful random old people would eventually greet us good morning and good evening whenever we passed by. That's pretty cool. Watanabe is a very well-educated person, it seems. You hit it right in the spot. Every country is the same, where rich resides on one part and poor resides in another, etc. No matter how well the country is developed. Yes, just like I was saying. Every place, like every beautiful place has its little ugly spots, unfortunately. I lived in Naniwaku, and my friend lived in Nishinaraku. Walking to or from there was a night there, and night was never an issue for us, but the locals always worried about us. Their concern was real, but actual danger was not real. I love seeing the area represented in the media because it's actually really fun and incredibly cheap. But just a few points that were missed. A mansion is a Japanese word for apartment complex. Okay, that makes sense, because I was like, you live in a mansion, but it's 10 meters? I was like, what are you talking about? But I didn't want to be rude or say something stupid. But thank you for Lindsay for explaining that. I did not actually know that. He didn't live in a Hollywood house. And the photo of a man who was of a bride and the mother of a bride who was traditionally wears a black kimono on the wedding day. Please check out Shin Sekai if you can. The Kushikatsu is the best. I like the fact that in the streets of Kamagasaki, one of the most notorious slum districts in Japan, is much cleaner than the streets of Shibuya, one of the most popular tourism destinations. Well, why do you think that is? The people that are born in Japan and stay in Japan, they're used to keeping stuff clean. Know what I'm saying? And ooh, that looks like an interesting video. We'll add that to our watch later. And people where a lot of people from different countries are from, the type of people that don't like keeping things clean, I can definitely see that, you know? That one picture of his wife and daughter was such a powerful one. Really makes you wonder what his life story is, to go from having a beautiful family to alone in the streets. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, I hope he gets to see his family sometimes, you know? Like, that's rough. Let me close this, don't need that open anymore. We went to Kansai. I stayed in Kamagasaki, very near Sensekai. I didn't even know it was a slum. I only learned a month later. I took some walks in the area and noticed it was less like that. It was less looked after than the other parts of the city. But I live in a remote place in Niigata. Niga. There's a lot of N words in Japanese language, where most things are neglected because the population decline. I'm so used to the slums in my home country that I can't notice slums in Japan. Honestly, it was better than normal neighborhoods in Turkey, and 100 times better than the actual slum in Turkey. That's what I was saying. Like I was saying earlier, I live in Arizona. The homeless camps here are disgusting. Know what I'm saying? So it's definitely interesting to see how Japanese slums portray to slums in other countries. As a Japanese, I felt this was a fair report. The condition of the town is slowly improving, and good for Kamagasaki. But yeah, once again, I definitely would like to visit Kamagasaki. That's definitely going to be on the bucket list because it doesn't look like a bad place. I mean, some of us who are actually from bad places, you know. But I do hope the people there find happiness. Even they looked really happy. I hope they stay healthy. This was actually made a month ago. That's pretty cool.